Alright, dude, I have a prediction. The Nintendo Switch will not only defend itself against the PlayStation 5, but will emerge as the true threat to Sony, leaving Xbox hardware in the dust. Let's talk about it. So you may be thinking, like always, I'm crazy, I don't know what I'm talking about, but just hear me out, If we're gonna understand why I think Nintendo is gonna do just fine against the PS5, we have to understand two things. One, the current and future state of the Switch, and two, the current and future state of Microsoft. Starting with the Switch, we have to look at where Nintendo is at and will be at in terms of hardware and software. Now, when we talk about new Nintendo hardware, the first thing that comes to mind is the rumored Switch Pro. And dude, if you want to know my in-depth prediction for the Nintendo Switch Pro, I'll have a link to a video I made in the description or pop it up right here. But a quick summary is this. I think that Nintendo will release a TV-only Switch with little to no graphical or power improvement for around $99. Now, I know what you may be thinking. That's ridiculous. They need more power to compete. No one's gonna be buying that. Hold on, let me finish. If we go with my theory, there are three ways Nintendo will compete as I see it with Sony. Number one, offering a different form factor than PlayStation in the form of a hybrid console. Number two, SKUs that are radically better in price than the PS5, such as the Switch Lite, such as the Switch Pro, if we're going with the Switch Pro model that I've discussed. And the third way that they will compete is in software. As we've seen this gen, the Switch isn't trying to be a powerhouse, obviously, and they haven't needed to be. Where they really thrive is in their first party and indie games. Now, I'm not going to go too deep on the topic of Nintendo's first party philosophy. I'm planning to make a video on that. But what I will say is Nintendo has objectively killed it in the first and indie department this generation, to the point where sales for indie games on Nintendo Switch outsell all of their platforms combined. They've done a really good job of making you think about the Switch as the place to play and buy all of your favorite indie games. This all brings me to the inevitable question you're asking. I can read your mind. But what about third parties? How is Switch going to handle them in the future without a power increase? They can barely handle the games now. I got a solution. Enter Xbox. So, as we all know, Xbox lost this gen in terms of console sales, software sales, first parties, all that. But what Xbox has been doing is focusing on the future of cloud gaming and on game subscription services. In short, the cloud, aka xCloud, allows Xbox games to be played on any hardware regardless of how powerful it is. You can play Halo on a phone. Let that sink in for a second. Okay, sunk in. Game subscription services means Xbox Game Pass, where for a small fee monthly, you can get a bunch of first and third party games on Xbox and you play them as much as you want. It's basically Netflix for games. Whether we like it or not, Xbox is preparing to be okay with losing the hardware war with Sony already. By setting all this up, they're basically hoping for the best of both worlds, where Xbox consoles catch on and beat PlayStation. But they are preparing for the worst with their services catching on and don't want to come up empty-handed. So what does all this mean? How does Xbox Game Pass and xCloud relate to the Switch having a future third-party problem and the lack of a powerhouse home console? Well, here's the timeline I see happening. Let me paint you a picture. Dig, if you will, a picture. Nintendo releases the Switch Pro after or before the PS5 comes out. Very shortly before, very shortly after. This gives people an amazing alternative to the PS5 in terms of game selection, no hardware gimmicks, for a ridiculously low price of $100. Then, as the third-party games start coming out for Sony and Microsoft starts losing yet again, they use the nuclear option and add xCloud and Game Pass to the Nintendo Switch. This instantly fixes two problems. One, it gives Nintendo the third parties they need without needing a powerful home console to run them. And two, it gives Microsoft instant access to the Switch player install base and lines up millions upon millions of new subscribers for their service. I could even see a free month of Game Pass being included with each Switch Pro to entice people to buy it. Now, I know that this theory has a lot of ifs and big assumptions, but even without xCloud and Game Pass coming to Switch, I think that Nintendo could very easily keep up momentum by giving people a cheap home console experience with a $99 Switch. Now, as far as their first-party software that they'll supply to beat PlayStation 5, that's a topic for another time. So that's it, dude. That's my prediction for how Nintendo Switch competes with PlayStation 5. Make sure you leave a comment down below about how wrong I am. about how Nintendo is doomed and how they should go third party, PlayStation for life. I'm a Sony pony. If you liked the video, leave a like. And if you like the theory videos that I'm putting out, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any. Alright, dude, talk to you later.